All right, we're going to be graphing absolute value equations, so let's take a look. All right, first off, we're going to talk about the parent function. So we're just going to graph the basic absolute value, y equals the absolute value of x. Okay, for my x values, I started my table. I'm just going to pick the basic 0, 1, 2, then -1, -2. So basically 0, 0, and then 2 to the right, 2 to the left. Okay, so I'm going to plug in -2 into this equation for the x. So first one's going to be absolute value of -2, which we know absolute value always makes a positive, so that's just going to be 2. Okay, the absolute value of -1, that's just going to be 1. Okay, absolute value of 0, that's just going to be 0. Absolute value of 1 is 1. Absolute value of 2 is 2. So I just plugged in my x values into this function just to see what it's going to do. So let's go ahead and graph these points over here. So these are my points, -2, 2. Okay, so -2, 2, I'm going to put a dot. Okay, -1, 1, put another dot. 0, 0, 1, 1, and 2, 2. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and connect these dots. Okay. And if you notice, it makes a V shape. Okay, so absolute values make this V shape. This table right here, okay, is going to kind of be your friend. All right, we'll use this for almost all the graphs that we do. Okay, but now we're going to talk about how we can make our graph look a little different using transformations. So let's take a look. All right, these are how we'll transform that parent function, that absolute value of x. So the first thing is this a value right here. That's going to stretch or compress. So either stretch our graph out or kind of flatten our graph. Also, if a is negative, okay, if it's a negative a value, it'll reflect it. Okay, a little hint when we're actually graphing, that's what you multiply your y column by. It'll make sense when you do it. Now h, this guy right here, is going to be your horizontal shift. Okay, these are little tips, like if it's adding, it'll be left. If it's subtracting, it's right. So it's kind of opposite than what you would think, because if they're adding, if it's a plus, we're actually going to go left. That'll make more sense, but I would definitely write down that h is our horizontal shift. Okay, and horizontal means left to right. Okay. Last one, our k. Okay, this k value, hey, that's going to go vertical shift, which is up or down. Okay, and it's just exactly what you would think. So go ahead and write those down, pause it, and we'll take a look at some examples. All right, so here's your steps. So you can always look at this. So the first thing, we always do our parent function, and then we'll multiply our y column by any a value we have. We'll graph those 5 points, then we'll shift it, and then we'll draw in or connect the points. So let's take a look. All right, let's take a look at an example with some transformations. When I do these, I always like to kind of write down what I'm going to do in terms of shifting and things like that. So right away, I see that this is x minus 5. Okay, so that tells me that it's going to go a left or right shift. It's an h value, so it's minus 5. So it's the opposite. So we're actually going to go to the right 5. Okay, and then our -1, that's a vertical shift. So I'm going to go down 1. It's nice to write those down there because it kind of gives me an idea of what's going on in your brain of how you'll shift it. Okay, then I always like to put this part in a little box because that tells me, oh, hey, I have an a value of 3. And that's going to help us when we make our table. So I'm going to go to make our table just like we did on that first slide. So -2, -1, 0, 1, 2 for my x values. And then the absolute value of those are 2, 1, 0, 1, 2. So once I have those, okay, that table is always going to be consistent. You'll always have that same table because it's just basic y equals the absolute value of x. Now, I notice I had an a value of 3, so that tells me that I'm going to multiply all my y values by 3. So I'm going to multiply all these y values I just got by 3. Okay, so this would be 6, 3, 0, 3, and 6. Okay, I'm not going to use that middle part anymore. I'm just going to look at these points, my new x and y. So -2, 6, go over -2, up 6, put a dot, over -1, up 3, put a dot, 0, 0, 1, 3, 1, 3 right there, and then 2, 6. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and connect my dots. Okay, and that's my graph if it was just had that stretch of 3. Now, it's not my final graph though because I still have to shift. So I'm going to switch over to blue and I'm going to go to the right 5 and down 1 from all of those points that I made. So those 5 points, I'm just going to go to the right 5, down 1, right 5 from here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, down 1. From the center or the vertex, right 5, down 1. Okay. Right 5, down 1, and right 5, down 1. Ooh, down 1 right here. Okay, so here's my 5 new points after shifting them, and I'm going to go ahead and connect those points. Okay, so notice it's the same graph, it's just shifted over. Our blue graph is our actual answer. The red one's just a tool. So if you wanted to erase it, you could, or you can keep it there. I'm fine with either way, but just know that your blue one right there is your actual answer. All right, so let's take a look. So if I notice there's nothing out front right there, so I'm not going to multiply my table by anything, but I do have a +3. That just tells me, since it's on the inside, it's going to go left to right. It's actually going to go left 3. Since it's +3, it goes the opposite. So we're going to go left 3. Okay, so now I'm going to draw my table. Okay, our table is always going to be the same, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. Absolute value of those numbers are 2, 1, 0, 1, 2. Okay, I don't have to multiply anything because the only number out there is a 1. So that's the table that I'm going to use. So I'm going to go ahead and plot these points. Okay, there's my V. You can draw it in there or just keep the points, but then now I need to shift them. I'm going to shift all these points to the left 3. So I'm going to go to the left 3, left 3, left 3, and then the other one's over here, left 3, and left 3. Okay, now I'm going to draw in that red graph, and that is my graph because I shifted it over. The black one, if you don't want it there, you can erase it or you can keep it there. It's kind of just a tool. I'm not going to count against if you leave it there, but just know that your red graph is the actual answer. All right, so same thing, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of box that in. Okay, I have this +2, but I notice it's on the outside of the absolute value, so it's going to be a K shift, so that's up or down. So it's a +2, so we're going to go up 2. Okay, now I'm going to make my table XY. Okay, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. Okay, 2, 1, 0, 1, 2. Always make this table, and then now let's decide. We have an A value. It's technically a -1, so I'm going to multiply all these Y values by -1. Okay, let's multiply all these by -1. So this can be a -2, -1, 0, 1, -1, -2. Okay, now I'm not going to pay attention to that one as much. I'm going to graph these points. So -2, -2, be right there. -1, -1, 0, 0. And if I notice, my V now looks upside down. Okay, so we talked about how the negative A values will flip your graph. That's what we meant by reflecting or flipping the graph. So now we still aren't done. We have to go up 2. So I'm going to shift all these points up 2. I'm going to change. Let's go back to red. Go up 2 to each of these points. And there's our graph. All right, and as you do these more and more, you'll get kind of notice a pattern, and you might get quicker with these. But if you don't ever see that, that's fine. You just make your table, plot your points, and then shift it. All right, go ahead and try the practice problems.